Welcome back, everybody. Your boy Nathurow is back on the scene with another video. Another video from Simple History caught my attention. It's called British Runner, World War I. I honestly don't know what to expect from this video. When I think of runner, I think of someone who's going to deliver a message, maybe. You know, like when someone runs errands for somebody, they go deliver messages or packages or whatever. They're just kind of running all over the place. So I'm assuming that's what they're referring to, but we will find out. Let's go.
This episode is brought to you by Blinkist. Today, we're all busy and have less and less time to do
Never
things.
heard of it.
You may think you don't have time to read a book and improve your knowledge, but with Blinkist, you can. The reading app that has more than 12 million users around the world. Like our channel, Blinkist condenses history subjects into an easy-to-digest, concise form. The app takes thousands of nonfiction books and condenses each one down into 15 minutes that you can read or listen to. We recommend you check out The Sleepwalkers by Christopher Clark if you want to learn more about why nations joined the First World War and how they mobilized for it. And Lawrence in Arabia by Scott Anderson for another great insight into First World War history. The first 100 people to click on Blinkist.com/simplehistory in the description box below are going to get unlimited free access for 1 week to try it out. You'll also get 25% off if you want the full membership, and you can cancel at any time during that period. So get in there fast.
Then again, when did this video come out? At the beginning of the year. Okay. I was just curious.
British Runner, World War I. The ability to communicate efficiently on the battlefield has been of vital importance for as long as there has been warfare. The inability to share information from one part of an army to another can mean the difference between an all-out victory and a crushing defeat. Over the centuries, a variety of methods have been used, ranging from basic hand signals and trained animals, all the way up to the sophisticated electronic signaling systems used by modern armies. One such method that bridged the gap between the ancient world and the modern, continuing well into the 20th century, was the use of a human messenger. By the time World War I came around in 1914, communication technologies had advanced to the point where the competing armies were able to use telegraphs and field telephones to send long-range messages. However, the wires necessary for these were vulnerable to enemy attack and were often damaged.
Oh man, can you imagine that being your job during World War I? Talk about freaking stressful. I would think this would make you a target. You know, like if the enemy saw a soldier that wasn't running towards them or wasn't running away from them, they were like running sideways or something, maybe they would think, hey, that guy's trying to flank us. Or they may actually think that that guy's trying to relay some information or something, we need to stop him. And what would be going on through your mind if you were a runner? Just like, oh, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me. Oh, that's tough. Anyway, let's keep going.
Carrier pigeons were also used to send messages back to HQ. The soldier would write a paper message in a small tube attached to the pigeon's leg and release the bird into the sky. They were the target of enemy soldiers on the ground who shot at them or used hawks to halt the message's delivery.
Oh, poor thing.
A heliograph was another option, but it involved the use of the sun. It could only be used during the day, and it also risked giving its user's position away. If the groups trying to communicate were close enough to one another, then flag semaphore or different colored flares could be used. But it was often the case that the only possible way to get a message through was to send a human runner. The job of a trench runner was arguably one of the most dangerous
there
of
you
the
go.
war, as it involved leaving the relative safety of the trenches and traveling across no man's land.
Ah, there you go. I mean, you would definitely make yourself a target then. Yeah, especially to snipers. They see someone running in like an awkward pattern, they would automatically think something is up. Like this person is, you know, sticking out from the crowd. Like, yes, there's enemies all around us, but that person, you know, specifically is up to something. Also, think about all the forms of communication that they used during that time. You know, from flags to carrier pigeons to the phones and, you know, light sources like mirrors. Man, like, I guess some of the things you really don't think about, all the forms of communication that you need in order to just get through to the rest of your squads. That's crazy. Let's keep going.
Often in full visibility of enemy snipers and with little to no cover. Trench runners in the British Army did not have a specific uniform. Rather, they were generally kitted out in the regular uniform of a British private. From the start of the war, this would have consisted of the khaki-colored service dress uniform, first worn in 1902. The famous metal Brodie helmet was not introduced until 1916, when the realities of trench warfare had begun to sink in. Standard infantry were supposed to carry multiple rounds of ammunition, a bayonet, a knife, an entrenching tool, a water bottle, a Lee Enfield rifle, and a greatcoat or blanket.
That's a lot of stuff.
At certain times, they would also be carrying food rations and whatever personal items they chose to take with them. The British Army developed a webbing which was supposed to evenly distribute the weight of their kit. Nevertheless, the full weight of around 70 pounds would prove too cumbersome for its runners.
Okay, so I'm not too sure about British soldiers nowadays, but a couple of years back, I heard that soldiers from the United States carried around 90 pounds in average of all the equipment. That includes their gun, helmet, extra ammunition, rations, grenades, whatever else that you would carry. I mean, you need to be prepared for any situation, and that's why PT is so important. Physical training, because you constantly have to carry around a bunch of weight on your person. So yeah, it's rough.
And for this reason, special provisions were granted, allowing them to refrain from carrying certain pieces of equipment when necessary. Runners also had to wear some form of distinguishing badge, most commonly a red armband to be worn just below the left shoulder. These markers meant that should other soldiers come across the body of a dead runner, they would know to search him for a message. The men chosen as runners were usually young, between the ages of 18 and 20, and due to the high risk of death or serious injury on any mission, they most often worked in pairs. If the distance to be covered was too great, then a relay system was sometimes set up to minimize the danger faced by each individual runner and maximize the chances of messages getting through.
Imagine being the person that has to take over the runner's job, especially after seeing how that person died. Like, oh, look at this person. Yeah, I'm getting this guy's job. It's like drawing the short stick. Oh man, God, that sucks. And then getting a young person, that makes sense. They're probably in their prime, they're very fit, lots of stamina. But I wonder if being a runner was its own official position. Like if you were in the military, like, did you train to specifically be just a runner, or was it one of those things where they just kind of picked people at random, like, hey, we need to get this message to so and so, and we decided to choose you, or like I said, they drew straws and and you have to do it. So yeah, maybe we'll find out.
In addition to the normal skills required of a soldier, runners had to become highly adept at map reading and reconnaissance. Delivering messages was not their only special duty. They were also expected to guide new troops to their battlefield positions. This was a task which required detailed knowledge of the surrounding terrain, and was further complicated by the fact that such troop maneuvers usually took place under the cover of darkness. Alfred Mendes was a runner who served with the 1st Rifle Brigade during the latter 2 years of the war. One morning during the Battle of Passchendaele, Mendes was stationed with C Company, a short distance from the town of Pointe-Capelle, where they received a message from headquarters which read, "Should the enemy counterattack, go forward to meet him with fixed bayonets. Report of 4 companies urgently needed."
Damn.
The group's CO, Captain Craigmile, who knew that the mission was likely a suicide one, requested a volunteer. Mendes had received training as a signaler rather than a runner, but nonetheless felt it was his duty to step forward. He then embarked on a desperate hunt across no man's land.
Wow, okay, hang on. So, a signaler. There are probably so many positions and jobs within the military that people, wouldn't even think of. Like, when I think of military operations, I mean, something like a signaler or a runner doesn't really cross my mind, but I mean, some of these jobs are probably super vital. Like if you're a runner, that means that the information is so important that they have to send a human out there to deliver this information. It's just an insane job to be given.
Taking out the remaining 3 companies. He described the terrible conditions of the battlefield and explained how the snipers got wind of me, and their individual bullets were soon seeking me out, until I came to the comforting conclusion that they were so nonplussed at seeing a lone man wandering in circles about no man's land, as must at times have been the case, that they, out of a secret admiration for my nonchalance, to dispatch their bullets safely out of my way, or they may have thought me plain crazy. Not only was Mendes successful in his mission, returning to his own company entirely unscathed, but he managed to capture 10 German soldiers along the way. He also received a military medal for his actions.
What? What? He captured 10 soldiers? How does that even happen? Wow, I'm surprised they haven't made a movie about this guy. Or then again, maybe they have and I just haven't seen it. But I really want to look this guy up. Damn. How would you even pull something like that off? I mean, I guess he probably snuck up on them, you know, and held them at gunpoint. Yeah, but still, holy crap. That's... that is some serious sneak skill. Sneak skill 100. For sure.
Corporal Robert William Illae enlisted with the Yeoman's Rifles at the end of 1915 and early on volunteered as a runner. He spent the latter 2 years of the war fulfilling his role in various battlefields across the Western Front. In August of 1916, Illae's battalion was sent to take part in the Battle of the Somme, which he described as a black, evil-smelling waste. On one particularly dramatic mission, which took place on the 15th of September, Illae describes being instructed by his general to deliver an urgent dispatch to brigade headquarters. His direct orders stated that he was to go quickly, stop for no one, and return to the same spot, whatever I heard to the contrary. After an eventful journey, he successfully delivered the message, but when he was close to the trench where he was first given his orders, he received a warning that the position had been retaken by the enemy. Illae chose to disbelieve this advice and went on to jump confidently into the trench, where he landed right in the middle of a group of extremely surprised Germans, all but one of whom turned and fled.
What?
The remaining German soldier immediately put his hands up and surrendered.
Damn. Hold on. I guess the German soldiers, I mean, they had to have thought that they were getting ambushed. The only reason anybody jumps in is because they're taking them by surprise, and if one person jumps in, that means there's people backing them up. Like, maybe they thought they were surrounded, so they're trying to get cover, but in the end, it was just one guy that just decided to just screw it, go for broke, jump in, and wow, it ended up working heavily in his favor. Wow, this guy's got guts. Damn.
On March 21st, 1918, while serving close to the French village of Achet-le-Grand, this time as a runner with the Machine Gun Corps, Illae and a fellow runner were ordered on what their CO believed to be a suicide mission. News had been received stating that the front line had been wiped out, and there was a desperate need for information on the German position. The CO gave both runners a drink of whiskey and a pistol, telling them that if necessary, they were to shoot 5 Germans and then themselves. The other soldiers shook the hands of each runner before they departed. As it was, the mission was relatively uneventful, most of the action being long since over by the time they arrived at the front. They were heavily shelled on the return journey, but were able to successfully deliver the intelligence they had collected.
Wow. Oh wait, it's about to end.
Corporal Illae was lucky to survive the war, but many of his fellow runners were not so fortunate. And doing so was often a last resort when other forms of communications had either broken down or were not practical. Runners were capable of thinking on their feet and could adapt plans as necessary, an important skill in a complex field of battle. But their use reduced the fighting strength of the units they were drawn from, both in the short term when they were on a mission and in the long term due to the high casualty rate of the job.
Oh man, that message. Yeah. Okay. that was a heck of a video. And it just goes to show how important these runner jobs are, because if you didn't send runners, at certain times, then you're pretty much sitting there in the dark without any information. Like, maybe you got word that your front line got completely wiped out, but unless you actually, send someone to deliver the information, or send someone to like maybe scout, runners kind of also sound a little bit like scouts to me, you're never going to be 100% sure. Like, what if there's still some of your soldiers pinned down there and they just have no way of communicating to somebody? So the runner could potentially just, save lives. Anyway, that's all the time I have for this video, guys. I definitely want to look up some information on these runners. Their stories seem pretty epic. But thank you so much for watching, and as usual, please don't forget to like, subscribe, show some love in the comments below. Please do all that good stuff, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.